At this point, maybe there's
All right. All right. So the objection is based on 403 is relevance. I find it's moderately relevant. I find that 403 has been met as to it's a low barometer for relevance. So I'm going to allow the testimony that's already occurred in regards to the phone. I'm not going to move, but I think we can wrap it up in regards to any more testimony, because it seems to stem from the malicious destruction of property that we're on trial for right now. So with that understanding, I'm going to overrule the objection, but only continue what you saw on that date. All right. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Are you familiar with the mobile application Snapchat? Are you familiar with an account called Spider on Snapchat? Do you know who Spider belongs to? How?
My niece Irene. I know who Snapchat is because of her. It's not her Snapchat.
And whose Snapchat is it?
That is Nevaeh Grimes, her Brandy's daughter.
And do you have access to posts made by Spider? Do you have access to posts made by Spider?
I actively don't. I blocked her. Not currently anymore. No.
On November 18th, 2023, did you have access to?
Yes, Irina had access. They were mutual friends. They were speaking prior to this incident.
And at some point, did Spider post a video of the incident? Did you view it on Snapchat?
What date did you view it?
I viewed it on November 18th, 2023 at about 10:30.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may. And that it's in regards to the laying foundation?
Yes.
All right.
You recognize what I've just handed to you?
Oh. Do I know what this is? Oh, yeah, it's USB. Yeah.
And how do you recognize it?
I see these in school. Are you asking if this is mine?
No, I'm asking if you've ever seen it before.
Oh, no.
From.
Absolutely. I don't know what this is. Unless I'm not understanding the information correctly, I'm sorry.
It's all right. She's going to ask another question.
Did you have an opportunity to review that Snapchat video
Yes,
prior with me? What was it on?
It was on a laptop.
And do you know what was plugged into that laptop?
Yes, there you go. I'm sorry.
All right. So the video you saw was on that
Correct.
on the jump drive.
Correct.
And that's been marked as People's Exhibit 1?
People's Exhibit 3, sorry. You're right.
3? Okay.
Yes. Does it fairly and accurately depict the incident?
May I just say a few things?
Your Honor, I believe at this point we need to adjourn to go over the objection discussion.
There's going to be a motion to admit People's Exhibit 3, and there's a current objection to that exhibit. Is that correct, Mr. Lee?
That's correct.
All right. So out of the presence of the jury, we're going to have the jury stand up and go back to the conference room, and we're going to entertain some of the discussion concerning this exhibit.
All rise for the jury.
And you can follow Ms. Slaviak. make sure that she shuts the door. All right. So there is I'm assuming there's a motion to admit People's Exhibit
Yes.
3. And there's an objection, and we previously discussed some of the nature of the exhibit. And so at this point, out of the presence of the jury is not here. There's an ongoing objection, I would assume, based on the admission of the exhibit. So Mr. Rizos, I'll hear from you, and then I'll hear from Mr. Lee.
Your Honor, the exhibit does have a Snapchat video on it. It is, as Mr. Lee described, there is a emojis in the top of it. That is how Snapchat is. It's the emojis and the name present the account, the user account. So that's what those emojis would be. It's not just like extra information, and just to identify whose account it is and who's posting the video, as well as, I believe, Mr. Lee, out of the presence of the jury, it also described that there is some verbiage on the video as well.
And who is on the video? Who is supposed to be making a statement?
It's not a statement, it's a video of the incident that occurred.
It's a video of the incident.
Yes. That was taken.
All right, Mr. Lee.
I was going to say, just to add a little clarification. So the video is clear enough in showing my client and her mother approaching the vehicle. However, at the critical moment when they reach the rear end of the vehicle, the video pans down and all you can see are feet. After they've cleared the vehicle or got to the front fender, it pans up again. Now, in the middle of the screen, in writing across the middle of the screen, is something to the effect of, "In the end, I beat her ass," or something like that. Not sure exactly what it says.
We don't know who to attribute that to.
Yeah, but we don't know, was the video altered? Is that how it was posted on Snapchat? There are emojis that occlude some of what you can see at the top of the video. Again, the verbiage and such suggests that a point of view is being expressed, but this is not something that was taken by my client or anybody involved in this. This video is now 3 times removed. Somebody showed it to her. And so I think there's authentication issues, but more to the point, I think it's a highly prejudicial kind of statement right in the middle of the screen. And it doesn't have the probative value in that they pan down at the exact moment that we're trying to determine, did something happen?
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
So there is a caption to the video, and I believe Ms. Wright just testified that she knows Spider to be the defendant's daughter's account. So we do know who made the statement. As to who recorded,
We know who the account belongs to.
yeah. So as to who recorded the video, I think that that's at this point kind of irrelevant. 901 requires that the authentication be some sort of evidence sufficient to support a finding that the matter in question is what it claims to be. We have Ms. Wright here today saying she reviewed the footage and it is a fair and accurate depiction of what occurred on that date. So I believe 901 has been satisfied. As to the issue of the probative value, this is circumstantial evidence. It goes to the heart of the case. If there's a question of who did what when, this video showing the defendant and her mother approaching the car, quickly panning away, and then again seeing the resulting of the actions is highly probative of what we're here to discuss today. As to the prejudicial effect of it, there's no doubt that the line there is prejudicial. However, all evidence is prejudicial. And at this point, this is the evidence that has been created in this case. And so it's highly probative. It goes to the heart of the case. So I don't think any prejudicial effect is outweighing it.
Mr. Lee, I'd like to see the video.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see the video first. Mr. Lee, did you have any response?
I think that you are taking the right approach. You can see the verbiage for yourself and decide for yourself.
My question is not so much for the video that's actually been shot. I think that confirms something that's already been testified to. My real concern is the language and any of the emojis that could be used as a distraction and maybe unfairly prejudicial as opposed to just prejudicial. Because Ms. Wilson's right. All evidence is prejudicial if the other side's bringing it, but whether it's unfairly prejudicial, let's take a look.
That's it.
Let's see it again. I don't. Ma'am, you gotta stop talking. So I see, but for the record, we're watching the video. I think the video itself, depending on who, I don't think there's any disagreement that it is what purported. It's just, it confirms the testimony. I don't see a broken window in that.
Your Honor, I think if you watch the back windshield, once it pans down, and then it goes back up, there's a pretty clear differentiation in the coloring there that depicts a shattered windshield.
You can argue that to the
Right,
jury.
yeah.
My real concern is the end of the fight, I beat her ass, is along the bottom. And I guess my preference would be that it's not there.
I don't know how to make it not be there.
That's the
Yeah,
concern.
I guess you could.
And is there any way to block that out or to
Your Honor, would there be, would it be allowed if we were to crop that part out? Would,
I think it's a version, if we can knock that part out, I think that's a real concern here for
Yeah.
me, is that we don't know who wrote it. We don't have any we don't have any.
Your Honor, I think we can clarify at least a little bit as to who wrote it. Where's the zoom on here? I don't do this.
But
there's like different than on my computer.
well, I think let's
You can hear me.
Oh,
if we can crop that area out.
yeah, do it on your back, then if you have a way to do it there.
So that would be my concern.
Yeah.
My concern, I think the video footage can be argued by either side of the actual event.
And Your Honor, if we also, while we're fiddling around with this, if we want to place what was discussed at the bench on the record as to the objection
Right,
with, I don't even remember what the objection was. Oh, the phone.
right.
Yes. So Mr. Lee objected to discussions about a phone being broken. There was a bench conference. Mr. Lee argued that the issue was more prejudicial than probative. I argued that it was more probative than prejudicial, as it was a continuation of the events. The court decided that for that limited bit of testimony, the court would allow it.
Right.
That is my recollection of the conversation.
I think that's fair. I think Mr. Lee was afraid that the reliance from the jury would be an over reliance on the fact that there was another broken phone and that they were using allegations. I think we've covered that for that very, because this happened right at the same incident. So I think that, but I don't want to get into other because this isn't what we're here for. We're here for the malicious destruction of property. So I've overruled that 403 motion to exclude based on the probative value being not substantially outweighed by unfair prejudice at that time. But that can continue. That should be continued because I made that that was a very focused. I think that's Mr. Lee. Did you have anything to say about that? That was based on the
right.
conversation that we had.
I agree with the court. We've been pretty focused. And
All
that's the way to continue.
I think we want to continue on the MDOP. I want to make sure that Mr. Lee gets any opportunity to see what we're cropping.
Working on it right
All
now. And Your Honor, there was also a discussion at the bench. I just want to place on the record as well that there was a prior charge regarding the phone.
Correct.
I looked in our system and the previous complaint that we have from this is just as to the car.
All right.
I think there might have been a co-defendant at one point that involved a phone, but in this case specifically, the phone was
All
not
right.
a part of the charging.
All right. With that record and that understanding, we want to keep it. I do find that video could be relevant to the testimony. I'm afraid that we don't have enough. That's just a statement made concerning that, and if we can
If we can crop it
if
out.
we can crop it out,
Yep.
that's that would be allowable. And Mr. Lee, that, I think that was the heart of your objection, was that the logo and the descriptive matter were just a statement made on the evidence. It wasn't
Yes.
really, I don't know, we know who the account can go to.
Yes.
I just don't know if we know who typed in then we don't know.
I don't know what can be done. I don't know
Right.
how things can be
Right.
changed.
I-
They're changing it right now.
Well, we're all victims of technology here. So I'm going to, so let's take a full 10-minute break.
Thank
Let's
you.
take a break. Let's have the prosecutor see if they can crop that out and then show it to Mr. Lee. And with that understanding, we'll move from there, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor. I
All right.
appreciate it.
All right.
All rise.
So witness, you're on the stand, but you're free to take off this, to remove yourself from the stand and get some water or take a break, and then we'll come back on in about 5-10 minutes.
You can be seated.
Megan, my
Yes,
client would like to go use the restroom. Is there anything that would be of concern?
I don't think so.
You got 10 minutes.
Oh, is there any chance, so she was in the bathroom earlier and they all the complaining witness and her family went in the bathroom. Is there any chance that she could use the bathroom up here that the
No.
guards use? No? Come on, I'll walk down.
The only other issue I would think, well, the only other bathroom is the jury bathroom, and obviously she can't go in there, so.
It was also out of order, wasn't it?
It's fixed now,
fixed.
but
So
she'll just have to go down to the first floor. We can, Megan, you can walk.
I can go down there with you.
That'd be great. Thank you, Megan, so much.
Yeah, we let that happen one time and that was. Cause the
Yeah.
judges also use.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Mhm. Not all of them have in chambers.
Yeah, I was trying to Google it. I mean, we have the one from Axon. Um,
You got it? Do you have the case ID? Sorry.
no, you're good. It's in. Police reports in here. I mean, if it's stipulated. It's still showing there. No? Oh. Oh. Oh, okay.
Just get a little one.
John, does this work?
Do you just want?
John,
I'm sorry.
does this work? So weird. Thing.
Yeah, it looks the same to me without. the
Without the
video.
thing, yeah.
But how can I show it without?
I mean, we can just
If you
give
can,
it to
if
you.
you can allow me access to
Yeah.
it so that I
Or
can,
we
you
can,
know,
you can just play it from,
because you probably
that
want to blow
laptop.
up and stop different parts. I probably want to blow up and stop different
right,
parts.
yeah, that's fine.
So,
Yeah,
okay,
that works for
and then
me.
the only other thing I would say is, the video is technically 9 seconds long and 7 seconds of it pertains to this case. And those last 2 seconds
Yeah.
pertain to what you were talking about.
The
with
phone,
the
yeah,
other-
we can stop it, yep.
I would say let's just stop
Fine.
it at 7.
Yep.
Okay. Yep, that's good with me.
Do you happen to, do you have a way to end it there?
Did you want me to
Do you
end
have
it
it?
prior to
Can you
that?
flip the last 2
Yeah.
seconds? Yeah,
Go for
that would be ideal.
So I'm assuming you want it prior.
Prior to the, yeah,
Right,
prior
so
to
like
the other person.
literally like right here.
Yep. Yep. What's up? Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
That, if you want to name something.
Put, exhibit.
Yep, there'll be both videos in there on that flash.
Oh.
Exhibit
3A.
3 now.
3A.
Um, 3. Change the number on record.
Yeah, 3A, yeah.
Megan, I'm joining Zoom
Okay.
so that at some point I can share my screen. Is that how you do it in here? Do you do the share screen thing?
You usually just use that cord and
Oh, yeah.
it automatically connects.
You just plug it in.
Oh, fair enough. Good, good.
You could probably do it either way though.
No, it's fine. The cord would work better as it asks my computer to do less things, which
Oh,
is
you went to the
always.
ground witnesses to put them on the bench over there.
Um,
Yes,
I believe if you just plug it into your computer, it's like almost instant.
yeah, it just goes right in.
Oh, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, that works.
You can kind of see your mouse in it.
oh, no, I can fix it.
Oh, and it didn't click out.
How close to the 10-minute mark? are we?
Yeah, so,
But I
yeah.
think no, actually.
Okay, good. So I'll be back in 2 minutes.
I say, I think no, and he says, I'll be back in 2 minutes. Yeah. You guys get it to work over there? or no?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, once he gets back, I'll just tell Justin.
No, that could be it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep, perfect. Okay, yeah. Mhm. Yeah. So we got through. Yeah, so we're gonna move. Yeah, really accurately, yeah. So we're gonna move to admit and then maybe publish, play it. And then. And we just- because we've already established that that's the issue. We're going to. So technically, I don't think you do because we didn't admit it into evidence yet, so it's not. Oh, yeah. Right, so. Yep. Yeah, you do.
All rise.
All right, you can be seated. And we're back on the record in docket 24-00734. We took a brief recess in order to see if we could, I would think, redact some of the video. How did that come?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think we've been successful. I'm gonna play it here. I did delete the original one since it hasn't been admitted yet. And now we just have the redacted version.
All right. And Mr. Lee's had the opportunity to see this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we redacted the part with the comment, and then we took about 2 seconds off the end per stipulation between the people and defense as it got into some of those other acts that we were trying to keep out.
All right.
So I believe the people are satisfied. I will leave it to the defense.
Any objection to, and you can do this in front of the jury also. Any objection to exhibit number 3 coming in as redacted?
No objection.
All right. All right. With that understanding, we will continue. Let's bring the jury back in. Witness, you can take the stand.
Yeah.
You're doing your job, right? You're doing your job.
All rise for the jury.
On my day? No. Okay, fine. You have a whole rise for the jury? Or just
No,
watch your step right there. There's a one right there. Watch your step. There's a one right there.
All right, you may be seated. We're back on the record in docket 24-00734 in the presence of the jury, and there's been a motion to admit People's Exhibit 3. We had a chance to, out of the presence of the jury, go through the exhibit, and any objection for the exhibit to be admitted at this time under the instructions that this is the exhibit. Mr. Lee.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, and so. The motion to admit People's Exhibit 3 as indicated here is allowed, and you may play it for the jury. Motion to admit People's Exhibit 3 is admitted. All right, so if you're in the process of playing the exhibit, you may want to restart it. All right. All right, so the exhibit is a video that was taken and it's shown on that screen. And if you want it played more than one time, you'll have access to it. but we can play it a couple times just so you know where you're looking at. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm gonna remain seated just because I feel like I'm in the way.
That's fine.
Yeah, but I was, any cars were unmarked.
And Ms. Ray, do you know who each of the parties are in that video? Can you describe where you, Ms. Hoover, and Ms. Hoover's mother are in the video by an identifying factor of each of your clothing? Would you like me to play it again? Are you able to do so?
So walking first is Keisha, which is Brandy's mother. She passes me first. And then following Keisha, Brandy stops for about 2.5 seconds at the trunk of my car. You can see her red and white striped pants stop at the very back of my vehicle. And the video continues, and the video is brought back up, and they are both walking away.
In Your Honor, let the record reflect that the video is currently stopped at 2 seconds.
All right. The record may so reflect.
And what was the damage done to the vehicle?
The back window was completely shattered with just, there was some glass still intact, but it was more and less completely shattered.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
And do you recognize what I've just presented to you? And Your Honor, handing the people's proposed exhibit number 1.
Okay.
Yes,
And how do you recognize that?
it's the back window of my car.
And what is that that I've handed to you?
A picture.
And does that picture fairly and accurately depict the car's condition after the incident?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, the people move to admit exhibit 1 into evidence.
Okay. A motion to admit People's Exhibit 1, that being a photograph. Any objection, Mr. Lee?
No objection, Your Honor.
Without objection, Exhibit 1 is admitted in evidence.
May we publish?
You may.
And whose vehicle is that in the photograph? And
You're going to speak.
I'm sorry, it is mine.
can you please explain the damage that's portrayed in that photograph?
Yes, it is a shatter of my back windshield.
And did you receive a quote for the damage to the back windshield? How soon after the incident did you receive that quote?
I've gotten 2 different quotes just to kind of say, hey, why not? But probably about 2 weeks after the incident, and then I later on got another quote just to see if maybe it was any price difference, if there wasn't.
And where did you go to receive that quote?
First was Safeway Auto Repair, and the second is TNT Auto and Glass out of Lansing, Michigan.
Brian, may I approach again?
You may.
Pending the witness, the people's proposed exhibit number 2. Is this a fair and accurate representation of the quote you received from TNT Auto? Your Honor, the people move to admit exhibit 2 into evidence.
A motion to admit People's Exhibit 2. Any objection, Mr. Lee?
No objection, Your Honor.
Without objection, Exhibit 2 is admitted into evidence.
May we publish?
You may.
Can you please explain the repairs that were necessary for that back windshield?
Yes,
To
it
replace?
was unrepairable. I just basically had to buy a whole new window.
And were repairs to the damage or a new windshield required in order to put it back to the condition it was prior to the incident? And at what point during or after this incident did officers arrive?
About 5 minutes after the incident happened, I called 911 immediately, so they were able to get there pretty quick.
And referring back to that video that we have on the screen, I'm gonna go ahead and start it. We'll go back to the beginning of it. Can you describe at what point the windshield was intact versus at what point it
window-
became up?
And you're referring to exhibit 3.
Yes, we're moving to exhibit
Okay.
3. Sorry,
The window was still intact then. At this point right now is when I hear the crash. Heard the crash, I turned around, I looked. Aaliyah's arms were over her head and the window was busted. There was glass on top of her hair. And I could clearly see outside from the back of me turning around because it was broken into the tail of like a fish. So I was able to see that it was broken through.
And when you heard that crash and what you just referred to as roughly. Roughly halfway through the video, can you describe who was walking past at that time?
Yes, that's Brandy Hoover's legs.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examination, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mrs. Wright, you started your testimony by talking a little bit about how you went over to their house or to their apartment, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you had told the police that you came over unannounced, right?
Sure.
Okay. And you also had testified that you called 911 shortly after arriving at their apartment, right?
I did call 911.
But you testified here today
Yes.
that you called 911 shortly after arriving at their apartment. You were still outside their apartment door, you said, and you called 911.
Correct.
But then just a minute ago, you said you called 911 after the window was broken.
For the second time.
So you called 911 twice.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. And then the picture that was shown, that was of a broken window, right? Where was the car at when that picture was taken?
It was at Capitol Commons apartment complex.
Right, but it had been moved, correct? It was not still in the same parking spot, right? Because you had
Not in the same
testified that
parking
you
spot, correct.
left, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you left, took the car somewhere else, and then the police came.
Right,
And that's when the police took that photograph, right?
yes.
Okay. No further questions, right?
Any redirect from the people?
Yes, Your Honor. One moment. You see, why did you call 911 twice?
Well, 911 twice because after the malicious deeds that were done the first time, I knew I was in danger, so I needed somebody to hear me just in case something were supposed to happen. So I called 911. Prior to pulling up to my mother's address, which is probably 30 seconds away from where the incident happened. They were trying to leave. We just got there pretty quickly. I'm sorry, I don't even remember the question.
That pretty much, I believe, answered it, unless
Okay.
there's anything else that you wanted to add. The question was, why did you call 911 twice? But I believe that resolved it. Thank you. No further questions.
All right. May this witness be excused from the people.
Yes, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused from the defense.
Yes.
Right, you're excused witness. Thank you for your appearance today. Further proofs from the people.
Your Honor, the people call Detective Jacqueline Lindman to the stand.
Okay, Detective Linneman, the previous witness is still in, so we'll make sure. And we'll call Detective Linneman to the stand. Right, Detective Linneman, you can come up here. Please stand right in front of me. Please state and spell your first name and your last name for the record.
Jacqueline, JACQUELINE, Lindeman, LINDEMAN.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
All right, go ahead and have a seat. As you know, the microphone is for recording purposes, so please project to the back of the room as best you can. And then Ms. Drizos, when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Detective Lindeman, who is your employer?
City of Lansing.
And do you work within a specific realm of the city of Lansing?
I'm a detective now. I was promoted in February from patrol officer.
And is that with the Lansing Police Department?
Yes,
And how long have you been with the Lansing Police Department?
15 years.
And what is your role with them currently?
I'm a detective
So,
now.
what was your position on November 18th, 2023?
Patrol officer.
And what were your general duties in that role?
Just responding to calls for service.
And what kind of training was required for that position?
18-week academy, and then field training, officer training. That was months. I don't know, it's been a long time.
On November 18th, 2023, were you working as a Lansing Police Road Patrol Officer?
Yes,
And did you respond to a dispatch call at 601 South Butler Boulevard?
Yeah.
Is that in Lansing,
yes,
in Ingham County in Michigan?
yes.
And what is located at this address?
Apartment buildings.
And did you respond alone or with a partner?
There was another officer in her own car,
And what was your partner's name?
Officer Hackman.
And how long after you received the dispatch call did you arrive at the scene roughly?
Don't know. I don't recall that. I would imagine less than 15 minutes.
When you arrived at the scene, what did you observe?
Several people standing around a vehicle in a parking lot.
And what did you do next?
Approached them and asked them what was going on, why we were called there, what the issue was.
At some point during when you arrived at the scene, did you meet anybody there?
Yes.
Who?
Miss Cassie Wright.
What was Miss Wright's demeanor when speaking with her?
She was upset. She was obviously excited, like something that just happened. Her hair seemed messed up. She looked like she'd been crying in some way.
And what, if anything else, did you learn about the incident?
Well, quite a bit of information.
Was there anything, did you learn anything regarding a car?
Yes.
And what did you learn?
I learned that during a quite confusing melee, so to speak, her vehicle was damaged by someone else.
And did you see the Cassie's car at the scene?
Yes.
And what damage did you observe to the car?
I saw that the back window was broken out. It was parked right there. I was standing right by it.
Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
Meeting the People's Admitted Exhibit number 1. Was this a condition of the victim's car when you arrived?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I publish?
You may. And that's previously admitted exhibit 1, is that correct?
Yes. Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examination, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Detective Lindeman, for being here today. Did you, were you advised that the car had been moved from the location where the damage was alleged to have occurred?
Not that I remember.
Okay.
No.
So you didn't go back and inspect where the alleged incident occurred to look for glass on the ground or anything like that? No further questions. Thank you.
All right. Any redirect, Ms. Drizzles?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
May this witness be excused from the people,
Yes, Your Honor.
from the defense?
Yes, sure.
All right. Thank you for your appearance today. You're excused.
Thank you.
And any further witnesses from the people?
Yes, Your Honor. The people call Eilina Carson Wright to the stand.
Thank you. Are you Miss Carson, right?
Yes.
Right, you can come up here right in front of me. Stand right here and please spell your first name and your last name.
ILLENACARSONWRG.
And you pronounce it Eilina?
Yes.
Right, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury? All right. Have a seat. Right there. The recording is for the court reporter, so you have to project the best of to the back of the room as best you can. All right. And then Miss Drizos, when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
So you're a little light,
Yeah.
Here, here too.
Yeah. So use the best you can to project to the back of the room.
Good afternoon.
Okay, perfect.
Does anything stick out in your mind from the date of November 18th, 2023?
No, not really anymore. Like, it's like old. This one is old. I'm not really like worried about it.
Or did anything occur on that date?
Yes.
And broadly speaking, what occurred?
What day is that?
November 18th, 2023.
I believe that's the day that we went to Brandy's house and
Who is we?
me, Casey Wright, Aaliyah Ostrander.
And what is Casey Wright's relationship to you?
That's my aunt.
And you said you went to Brandy Cooper's house.
Yes, to retrieve my stolen property.
And what led up to you going to Brandy Cooper's house?
Brandy's older son had said that he took the phone over to his mom's house because his mom told him to. And the next morning, no, the morning of that, he said that, then me and Casey Wright and Aaliyah Ostrander had walked, no, we had.
Your Honor, I'm
went
sorry, I have to raise an objection. There's some hearsay testimony. Ms. Wright is testifying as to what an older son said to somebody else and or her. And now is attributing statements to my client. Third, hearsay within hearsay.
So objection, hearsay, response.
And we'll just proceed.
All right, so I'm going to sustain the objection as to hearsay. So tell me what you saw. Don't say what anybody said to you. All right. And for the record, anything that was previously said really isn't substantive in nature. It's not going for the truth of the matter. But from now on, just say what you saw. Okay, ma'am. All right, you may proceed. The objection sustained.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to go back to what you were saying, there was an event that led up to you going to Ms. Cooper's house. What were you going there to do?
We were going to get back my stolen phone.
And what happened when you arrived?
We didn't get it back, but there was like we were just arguing and stuff. Like we still didn't get the phone back.
And how long have you known Brandy Cooper?
Like 2 years.
Would you be able to recognize her if you saw her today?
Yes.
Do you see her here in this courtroom?
Yes.
Can you point to where she's seated and describe an item of clothing she's wearing?
Blue and white hoodie with red pants.
Thank you. Your Honor, let the record reflect that the witness has just identified the defendant.
Any objection to the witness identifying the defendant for purposes of jury trial?
No objection.
Without objection, the witness has identified the defendant for jury trial.
Thank you, Your Honor. And how did you get to Brandy's residence?
And Casey Wright's car or Chevy Coupe.
And what was the condition of the car at the time you arrived?
It had all the windows and it was in good condition.
And after you arrived, you had described that there was some commotion. What did you do after that commotion?
After the commotion, I had went back in the car with Casey Hoover and Aaliyah Ostrander stayed in the car the whole time the commotion was happening.
And what was your intention in going back to your aunt's car?
Get away.
And where were you seated in the car?
In the front passenger seat.
And after you got in the car, what happened?
Brandy Hoover had walked behind the car and smashed the back window out with something in her hand, I believe, like something black or something like that. And then.
I'm gonna stop you right there. How did you see this?
Through the rear window.
And you just stated that you saw just a black object in her hand.
Yes. I'm not sure if it was a phone or.
Did you hear anything when the windshield was hit?
Yes, glass shattering.
And was there anything different about the condition of the windshield immediately after?
Yes, it was like shattered, like really badly.
Did you hear Brandy say anything after she hit the windshield? What was Brandy's demeanor during this incident? How she portrayed herself?
I didn't like see her, but
That's
I
a
would
fine.
assume like angry.
What happened after the windshield was hit and shattered?
Drove back to my grandma's house, which is like not even 30 seconds away from Brandy.
And are you familiar with the mobile application Snapchat? Are you familiar with the mobile application Snapchat? Are you familiar with an account called Spider on Snapchat?
Yes.
And do you know who Spider belongs to? How?
The night before we went to get my phone back from Brandy, I don't really remember how I got the Snapchat account, but me and Brandy's son, Carter Hoover, were upstairs and we were sending snaps back and forth to Nevaeh. And it wasn't like anything bad or like no bad intentions.
Who does that Snapchat account belong to then?
Nevaeh.
And do you have access, or at that time, did you have access to posts made by the Spider accounts? Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examination, Mr. Lee.
It's Ilena. Thank you so much, Ilena, for participating today. I want to just run back through a couple of the things that you had said. You said that your aunt drove you over to where Brandy lived to retrieve a phone. You said there were some things that went on. There was a lot of anger and some altercations. Were you involved in any of that?
Yes, with her daughter Nevaeh.
Okay. Did you ever at any point strike Miss Hoover?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor.
So
Prejudice. Prior bad acts.
all right, so it's the exclusion would be for 403 balancing test, that it's not relevant and then some bad acts. Mr. Lee responds.
Your Honor, my client and her mother intend to show that, in point of fact, the reason they were walking back over to the car was to confront Ilena's mother. And hence they stopped and tried to open the car door. That's going to be their testimony. Now, the reason they were going back over there to do that was because Ilena had struck Miss Hoover and Miss Hoover didn't want to fight a young girl. And so this is all part of the story. I'm not using it to suggest that she's a bad person. We've already established there was a lot going on.
It appears to me that everybody wants prior acts in for one reason, but not another reason. That's kind of how it seems, that we object. So I'm going to allow the evidence in. I'm not going to exclude the evidence under 403. I do believe it's relevant, with the understanding that we're not here concerning what prior altercations may or may not have happened. We're here discussing what happened to the car. All right. With that understanding, I'll allow some questioning concerning this witness in regards to impeachment issues, but I may cut you off at some point because I just don't see the relevance.
Understood. Understood. So moving forward, I don't know, have you had a chance to see the video that was taken, the Snapchat video? You said you watched it, right? So you know that entire video from the beginning of when Brandy and her mom come into view to the point that where they're at the front fender of the car is at best 7 seconds, right? Right, okay. So this all happened pretty quick, right? So, and at the beginning of that 7 seconds, you were just getting into the car, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you said that you were getting into the car to get away. I assumed you wanted to exit after what we've already heard. And you also testified that you saw something black in Brandy's hand. Now, I have to ask you this question, okay? So in a span of 7 seconds, you got into the car, got yourself situated in the front seat, turned around and looked into the driver's blind spot area, saw through the window and to her vantage point that was below the window scape and saw what was in her hand? Or did you see something later?
Okay, so after I had struck Brandy and ran back in the car to get away, I looked in, I wasn't even situated yet. I looked in the mirror on the side, on the passenger side, and I saw Brandy walking up to the back and she had hit the window with something black.
Okay, I just want to make you aware that what you just testified to was that you looked in the mirror on the passenger side. Is that what you meant to say? Okay, because you know she approached the car on the driver's side. No further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect Ms. Drizos.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, may this witness be excused from the people,
Yes, Your Honor.
from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, thank you for your appearance. You're excused. Any further witnesses from the people in this matter?
No, Your Honor.
Do the people rest?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any proofs today from the defense, Mr. Lee?
Your Honor, we would like to call our first witness.
All right.
The defense calls.
And since we've already taken a break, I'm going to go right ahead in the defense case so we don't take another break. You had one long break that you didn't account for, so let's. All right. So, Mr. Lee, who does the defense call?
The defense calls Keisha Thomas.
All right.
Is she in the? She's not in the room. Would you like me to go get her?
Please. All right, ma'am, you can come up here. All right, I'm going to stand right in front of me. And please state and spell your first name and last name for the record.
Keisha Thomas, Kesia, last name Thomas.
All right. Please raise your right hand, ma'am. Do you solemnly swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I affirm.
Okay, you can have a seat right there. Please project to the back of the room as best you can because the microphone doesn't amplify your voice. It goes right to the recording. Okay. So as best you can amplify your back and then amplify the back of the room. Mr. Lee, when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Thomas, thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
I know this has been quite an ordeal for you as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Tell me about the morning of November 18th. What were you and your family doing on the morning of November 18th, 2023?
We were in the house. We were watching TV. Cassie and her niece came up to the door, and they were pulling on the door. And then she started ringing my doorbell. And then I was asking her, what do you want? Why are you here? And she was saying, well, I come to get my phone. I said, there's no phone here. You don't have a phone here. And she said, I do. So she kept pulling on the door. So I went upstairs to talk to her, and I told her, I said, Cassie, all I want you to do is get off my property. And she said, I'm coming to get a phone. Then her niece.
Okay, hold on. I'm just going to cut you off right there
Okay.
for just a minute because I know that what happened next was a kind of a melee kind of breaks out. She's going to say you guys started it. You're going to say they started it, right? I mean, okay. And the police investigated that and determined it was a mutual combat kind of situation, right? Is that your
Yes.
understanding?
Yes.
Okay. And then at the end of all of this, you and Brandy go over to Cassie Wright's car. And what were you going over to the car for?
I was going over to the car to fight Cassie because Cassie's niece had punched my daughter in her face, Brandy.
Got you. Now, so you were walking over with Brandy. Did you see Brandy stop and pick anything up along the way?
No, sir.
To the best of your knowledge, did Brandy have anything in her hands at that
No,
time?
sir. She did not.
Did you or Brandy attempt to open the car door?
I did.
Okay.
And I think Brandy did too.
Okay. So you paused as you were walking by to try to open the car door.
Yes, sir.
And then continued.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Do you have any rocks on your property at this apartment? Big
No,
rocks
sir.
that can be picked up or anything
No,
like
sir,
that?
we do not. No,
Okay.
sir.
And to the best of your knowledge, there were two people in the car, Cassie and Eileen, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you walked directly to the side of the car that Cassie was on, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to show you some video here in just a minute and ask you a couple questions about it. You can tell me if you recognize the scene
Okay.
and who's in the picture. I'll ask you, oh, are you ready? Yeah. How's this? Good. I think I'm looking at it through there. So.
There you go.
So let me just ask you this before we even look at the video. Did you notice anything about Miss Wright's vehicle, particularly the rear window?
Yeah, there was a crack in it.
There was a crack
There
in the
was a
window.
crack in the back on the right-hand side. There was a crack going up like that.
Gotcha, okay. And did you notice that when you were walking by the car? When did you notice that?
I noticed it when I walked by the car, and then I also noticed it 3 weeks ago because she was driving by the bus stop where we take the kids to the bus stop.
So at the time of the incident, it was your observation that the window was cracked.
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay. Yes. Okay. If you don't mind, there's a couple times, can we stop and enlarge or do anything like that? We can't enlarge. Okay, all right. If you don't mind, I'll tell you when to stop. Right here. Oh, this is what exhibit 1.
Exhibit 1, right?
2, 3.
3, exhibit 3.
Your Honor, we are going to play exhibit 3 for Ms. Thomas's review. Do you, well, first of all, stop right there. Do you recognize this? Is that the car
Yes, sir.
and the scene on the day? Okay, go
Yes, sir.
ahead and fast forward it just a little bit and stop. Can we back up a second? Right there. Keep going. Now, I don't see anything in her hand there. I wanted to blow it up at that moment because I've done that before and have been able to, let me just see real quick. I may be able to do it right now. Oh, but then it would have the thing up. Yeah. Okay, so, and then go ahead to the 7-second mark and stop it there. Now, I want to ask you, do you see a lot of difference between the coloration of this window and the coloration of that window?
Yes, sir.
Do they look similar or different?
They look different to me.
These two windows look different to you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. No further questions, Your Honor.
Any cross-examination, Ms. Drizos? Or cross-examination, I should say.
No, Your Honor.
No cross-examination.
No, sir.
All right. May this witness be excused from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Ma'am, you're excused. Thank you for your appearance. And then, Mr. Lee, did you want to call any additional witnesses, or did you want to talk to your client concerning any additional witnesses in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor. We would like to call Ms. Brandy Hoover to the stand.
All right, Ms. Hoover,
Your Honor, I think we need to do some blood here before we do that,
um,
outside of the presence of the jury.
we can, I mean, that we can do it after the witness testifies, or we can do it before. We can take a break and do it if that would be your
I
preference.
think it's typically done beforehand to
Right.
advise of certain rights.
Well,
But I'll leave it to the court.
Well, we're gonna take a break. Okay, we'll take about a 10-minute break, and we'll take care of some other matters, and make sure the witness, prior, and have time to discuss some of the tactical aspects. We'll take about a 10-minute breaks, and then, but we'll also, and I warn counsel, we'll take care of the last instructions. So we'll meet on the last instructions, so we can go right into closing arguments, okay? All right, so at this point in time, all rise for the jury, and you're excused for about 10 minutes. All right, let's go ahead and be seated. We have a potential witness in the courtroom. So Mr. Lee, Mr. Hoover's in the courtroom, so.
Oh, ma'am, you have to go back and wait where you were.
Okay.
Just in case rebuttal witness
No,
or
I
anything
wasn't-
else, yeah.
Sorry, that wasn't a gesture towards you.
No.
It was just, you were in my hand gesture
Okay.
area.
All right, so we have, so Ms. Wilson, you wanted to make a record, now go to Mr. Lee to make a record concerning Ms. Hoover's testimony.
Your Honor, just typically before we have a defendant testify, we go over the rights they have in this jury trial in order to make sure that there's a clean record, that they're advised of those rights, that they wish to waive them. So I will leave it to the court and Mr. Lee to conduct that examination, but I just want to make sure we have that.
All right, Mr. Lee, you understand, your client's about to waive the right by taking the stand and being cross-examined. She understands those rights and she understands the implications, is that correct?
I've advised my client that there are ways she could open the door.
Okay.
Yes, Your
All right. So Ms. Hoover, it is your choice today to take the stand concerning this file. Is that correct? All right. You understand you have the right to remain silent. Anything You have the right to testify, you have the right to remain silent, you have the right to a jury trial, you have the right to the counsel. Mr. Lee's been here in your defense, and you understand you waive those rights once you take the stand, you're subject to cross-examination. It's not like you get to testify to what Mr. Lee's questions asked to. You also have to testify to your cross-examination question. You understand that, ma'am? All right. I think that should suffice for the waiving of any rights in the matter. And we really, I've composed, so for the record, out of the presence of the jury, we might be able to go on, since the last instructions are pretty set, except for we don't have taking into account what Miss Hoover's going to say, which may change some aspects of that. So if that's this brief recess, I think we can probably go forward. We can probably go forward, put the witness on the stand, and then take a break and take a look at instructions. We would also draw one of the jurors off, and then go to closing arguments. Is that a fair statement,
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Wilson and Ms. Driscoll?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Lee.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Well, let's have the jury back. Was much quicker than 10 minutes.
Yes.
They barely got situated, and that's. All right, you may be seated. Mr. Lee, you're going to call Ms. Hoover up to the stand, and you may proceed. Ms. Hoover, you can come up here. All right, please state and spell your first name and last name for the record.
Brandy Hoover, BrandyHoover.
Please raise your right hand, ma'am. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
All right, please have a seat. Please project to the back for amplification purposes, because that microphone will really just go to the court recorder. When you're ready, Mr. Lee.
Ms. Hoover, you've seen the video that was played here today.
Yes.
And you've heard testimony where people have alleged that you had something in your hand. I'm going to ask you directly. Did you have anything in your hand as you approached that car? Did you smash the rear window? How do you think the rear window ended up with a hole in it?
When Cassie got in her car and locked the door, me and my mom tried to open it, and I think that when she slammed the door shut to lock it, I think that's how it broke.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination from the people.
So going back to November 18th, 2023, you were at 601 South Butler Boulevard, right?
My resident.
And you came outside when Cassie Wright rang the doorbell, right?
Not initially, no.
Is that, so that's a no?
That's a no.
At some point, you came outside, right?
Correct.
And at some point, a physical altercation occurred, right? And you were upset after the physical altercation occurred with Casey, right?
No, I wasn't even in the physical altercation.
You weren't in the physical altercation at all?
I got hit, but I was not in the physical altercation, no.
And after that altercation, you walked past Casey's car?
Is that a yes, ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Honor, the people request to publish what's already been admitted as the People's Exhibit 3.
Okay, so you want to republish People's Exhibit 3 as the videotape?
Yes.
All right, it's already been admitted and shown several times, but we can show it again. And your questions are gonna be based on the videotape on
Yes.
Exhibit 3.
So in this portion of the video clip, there's nothing in your mother's hand right there. No. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. May this witness be excused from the people, from the defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, may this witness be excused. Well, you're excused, ma'am. Thank you for your appearance today. I didn't ask you if you had any redirect.
I did not.
All right. Any further proofs from the defense? Mr. Lee?
Defense rest, Your Honor.
That wrapped up faster than we thought. But what we're going to do is we're going to give you another break. So we can now look at the jury instructions, the final jury instructions that you'll have before closing argument. All right. So it should take us about 5-10 minutes, and then we'll come back here and we'll have both closing arguments. Both sides are done with their proofs today. They'll go to closing arguments, and then we'll go to deliberation. All right. So I'll rise for the jury. We'll get started in about 5-10 minutes. All right, let's be seated. So the plan here is that we'll all go over instructions in the court chambers, and then we'll come back and put it on the record. We'll also use the time to make sure that the final juror is struck, but we'll do that at the very end, right before we do our closing arguments. We should do it after instructions. Anything to come to the court's attention from the people, Ms. Wilson?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Driscoll?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Lee?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so let's adjourn. And I've probably 2 to 3 minutes to regroup, and then we'll meet in chambers and we can go over the final instructions.
All rise.
Maybe seated. Yeah.
Wait, yeah.
It's part of the talking computers. I mean, you can have to do it just as consent. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it just, that was just.
I get it. That's not the way I understood it. I understood it as 3 weeks prior to the incident she saw, and that's why the chronic was relevant. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Attorney. Yeah.
You want us in there?
Yeah.
I'll grab the form, it's on my desk. Oh, there.
Yeah, you put them in, it's a lesson, so I think it's gotta be in there. I've had hospitals don't know me, they don't know nothing. So, yeah, having other, so, yeah, so, listen, I don't think we're arguing about the money side. I think we all understand that the fact is. Man, doesn't take yeah, there is some indication that some of these things I don't know if you want to highlight it or not. I don't know if you want me to say anything about it or you just want to leave it as entirely up. I don't think it's highlighted, so there's some question whether you want to. Find the defendant did make the state, you know, the state, whatever it is. And decide to take it out, the state will say, I think. I don't know, either unless they run the third or something that was and the first station. I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying like, don't think about an elephant and then they're thinking about. Kind of agree with you. Circumstantial evidence. Prior inconsistent state of the thing that things came out about the play. It didn't look like it was used for anything. It was very cross-examination. So another one, 5, you know, what do you want to do? The only reason I put it in there is I didn't know what they were going to say. And now I still don't put a lot of experience except for those. Right. Yeah. So I look for motive. I think that we have evidence of motive for both parties. And then this was before the time and place of skill, or do you want before the actual home? I can see that as just part of the element of that. It all depends on where it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
To make it an element of time as opposed to the. I think it makes sense that way. I don't think we're arguing with public.
No. And then you have a copy of the first form. So when you, the charge is 200. Is that it might be? Yeah, the charge is 200. Okay, so this happens.
This inspect the personal property should be 200 to 1,000, but that one. This is just fodder for my staff to give each other a hard time. But if you take a look at the verdict form, and then I do have Mr. Deed in this court, okay, the public better gets to pick the jury. Yeah, you get to pick on that first. So what I'm going to say is to be more than 200, but less than 1,000. But then not going to the top. So it's all your fault. I like it. I like it though. She's bigger than Nathaniel. Our map thing is bigger than Nathaniel.
So, but just
If I was to put the pistol in any advice, drop everything you do. Don't get screwed, don't. And I know a lot of people can do that because they have to go with you. I'm like, unless it's the best every time. It is the first time you like to do it. But it's all about. I